Hi, my name is Liz Hathway and this is my astrological look at the week ahead. That's the week starting 18th of February 2019. Now it's a big week and it's kind of difficult when you have a week where so much is happening to know where to start really. So let's just start today. We see Chiron moving into Aries today. I just did a workshop on Saturday actually with Melanie Reinhardt. She was visiting the Netherlands, and some of the things that she said resonated with me because they're kind of, we of course had the ingress of Chiron into Aries last year, and then he retrograded back into Pisces, but now he's making like his proper entry into Aries. You know, looking back at past events and people born with Chiron in Aries, I mean, so we know, for example, that the group born from 1969 into 1979, 78, 79, that group will be having their Chiron return. But I mean, if you look at the lives of some of the people, then there's this element of compassion kind of mixed in as well with a need to fight for something. And one of the themes that Melanie Reinhardt picked up on, which I felt was resonated with me anyway, was this idea of what it's worth fighting for. You know, what are you standing for? What do you really want to put your energy into? Because it's a Mars-ruled sign, Aries, so it's about passion, it's about will. Mars is very willful, Aries is a very willful sign. So it's like, what do you will to happen? What are you, where are you going to put your effort? So I made a few notes, and I mean, these are just taken from the workshop, and I think it's nice to share. I mean, she said, you know, like we could examine, for example, what the nature is of heroism. What does that mean to us? And also, I think a big one is what are we actually doing with our energy? What are we pouring energy into? And is it things that are, you know, satisfying, if you like, our soul life? You know, things that we might feel need to happen, you know, but are not happening yet. And you know, Uranus is moving out of Aries this year. It's moving into Taurus, which is as well much more, it's an earthy energy. It's that combination of fire and earth, which is extremely productive, I find. So yeah, finding out about our motivations for doing things, the why are we doing it, and what should we be doing? And yeah, what are we fighting for? What is worth fighting for? Because of course, you know, historically there are some really interesting figures born with Chiron in Aries who show how to fight from a different place. You know, I'm thinking of people like Nelson Mandela, or people like Mahatma Gandhi. You know, these people are fighting, but they're fighting from a different place. They're fighting from a place which recognizes the value of peace and the value of love, actually, as well. Because when we get Chiron in Aries, we also have to take into account the other end of that axis, which is, of course, Libra, which is Venus ruled, and Uranus moving as well now into a Venus ruled sign. So we shouldn't lose sight of that. And that theme, you know, we could run with this week because, you know, we have had the Saturn-Neptune sextile, which is very much about earthing your dreams, you know, bringing things, birthing them in the world. You know, Neptune is so full of soul, is so inspired, can have so many, there's a richness there. The imagination is completely flowing with Neptune in Pisces. But now Mercury's coming in there, and Mercury as a planet, whereas Neptune is like far away, it's an outer planet. Neptune is very close to us. You know, it's the closest planet to the sun. So Mercury is meeting up with Neptune. And of course, Mercury is very ambiguous. Mercury has, you know, it's not male or female. You know, he's androgynous. And now he comes into this Neptunian realm. So some of the thoughts and ideas we have this week can be really inspired. You know, they can really help us to really get an angle on those dreams, on those Neptunian dreams. And so while we're getting this sort of angle on Neptune, bringing Neptune closer to our day-to-day consciousness, if you like, at the same time, on the other end of that sextile, we have Saturn, and Saturn's getting kind of cozied up there with Venus, although cozied up might not be the right word, because, you know, Saturn is notoriously distant and cold and finds a difficulty to express love. So one way we could look at Venus-Saturn, for example, the conjunction on Monday, it's the sort of hallmark, really, of the difficult relationship. So we've had Chiron moving into Aries on Monday, Venus conjunct Saturn on Monday, that sort of difficult relationship. And then we're moving towards the full moon, you know, the full moon on Tuesday, which is a moment on the one side of great tension, but on the other side also of great awareness. It's a sort of full moon in Pisces as well. So we got a lot going on in that watery Pisces realm there, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, a lot of sensitivity, but also in some ways, Mercury, Neptune, there's that drowning as well, that loss of consciousness, and a need in some ways as well to surrender consciousness, to open it to this realm that sort of we can't grasp with our intellect, which I say is much more, Neptune is much more the imaginative realm. So yeah, we have kind of Venus and Mercury hooking up in a way with Saturn and Neptune in ways that can bring out the power of the Saturn-Neptune sextile, help us to earth the dream. But as well, you know, we need humour. You know, this is the great thing, one of the great gifts of, I think, Mercury in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, and certainly when it sort of meets up there with the sextile with Saturn, Saturn-Venus, we should not lose the ability to laugh at ourselves. We shouldn't take ourselves too seriously. I think of the Greek masks, the laugh cry. I think that's something that's very relevant for this week. So yeah, there's this flow through the week. The actual Mercury sextile Saturn is on Wednesday, and then on Friday it's more troublesome. We have Mercury square in Jupiter. So both these, you know, Mercury in Pisces, if we look at the old rulership, it's Jupiter ruled. So this is where, you know, it all becomes almost too much. There's this sense of being saturated or satiated, or the consciousness is overwhelmed in some way. The sheer force of information coming in, you know, it can be sort of bewildering. So there again, you know, thinking Mercury, Neptune, it's very good, certainly on Friday when we get the Mercury, Neptune square, to adopt or try to adopt a sort of meditative attitude, to let go of things, to let thoughts flow through us, not to hang on to them too much, but, you know, accept that, you know, that, yeah, you know, as Aurobindo says, we can't step into the same water twice, just let it flow away from us. So yeah, it's a really interesting week. Venus, of course, after the conjunction with Saturn on Monday, is in my mind besieged. She's there between Saturn and Pluto, between a rock and a hard place. It's not a comfortable position for Venus to be in, for sure not. There's that feeling of, also with Pluto, of compulsiveness, compulsive desires. There's also a lot to do with money and wealth here, and gain, and that sort of obsessive ideas maybe about death, or about, you know, the object of our desires, because Saturn is, and Pluto, they're very much in Capricorn, about making things concrete. You know, the minute you try to seize on love and own it, you know, something of the freedom with which love should be given is somehow restrained. So it's kind of quite a difficult week. And then Saturday we have that Venus conjunct Pluto, but also at the same time Mercury is sextile in Pluto. So Mercury sextile Pluto is maybe a good one as well, because that is the depth of understanding, you know, that sort of wisdom that we can actually use in a week like this, which is, you know, so many threads, so many themes, so much happening, that there's the risk on the one hand side of getting lost in the minutiae of life. That's also Mercury in Pisces. But there's also the opportunity as well, with the full moon happening and the Mercury Pluto, to actually observe, you know, to observe things and not get sort of swept up, caught up and swept away with the course of events. Wishing you a great week. I hope it makes sense. Thanks to everyone who gave me feedback on the sound quality. I forgot to speak harder, but I have placed the mic a bit higher up, so I'm still looking for the right solution to that, because not everyone saw an improvement. Thank you for listening. Have a great week. Bye.